Good morning. It is me with short hair, as you can see. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. That rhymed. I'm going to say it was intentional. This is a very long-winded, chatty vlog, so if you want to skip this video and just go to another one of my videos that I either have or I'm working on, I I don't blame you. I'll see you in the next one. But as you can see, I did get my hair cut. I had mentioned, I think it was in a YouTube short that I had posted where I was asking advice on my hair and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it. And originally, when I posted that, I was thinking I was going to get like a pixie cut or like kind of like a slightly longer pixie cut, but I chickened out and I was too terrified to get my hair cut that short right before a vacation, which I'm not right before vacation. It's not until later in May. But I was basically like, I don't want to get a haircut like that right before a vacation and end up hating it. So I was like, I'm gonna go with kind of like a little bob, like a really short bob. So this is the shortest my hair's ever been, which I'm looking just because it's cute now. But funny story, when I initially got the haircut, I got it cut. I liked it in the moment, but as soon as I got in my car, I sat down and I looked in the rearview mirror, and immediately what came to mind was I looked like Lord Farquaad. I was so convinced. I was convinced that I looked like Lord Farquaad. I can't talk. Lord Farquaad. I was convinced that I looked like Lord Farquaad. And I was devastated because I was like, initially when like the first like swipe through that she did with my hair, it was like a little bit longer. So it was like maybe down to my shoulder, which I've had that length before. So I've had it down to here before. But when she cut it there, I was like, okay, well, I want it a little bit shorter than that. So she went a little bit shorter than that. So I was devastated because I'm like, oh my God, I did this to myself. I did this to myself. I Lord Farquaaded myself. And when I tell you I was so freaking dramatic about like I was hysterically crying to my husband later that night. Just hysterically crying because I pulled I guess you could tell I was a writer in that moment because I was pulling out every, simile, every metaphor I could think of just out of my bag of just, I look like a thumb. I look like a Q-tip. I look like this. I look like that. I just dramatic would be an understatement with that one. So long-winded, but yes, I got my hair cut short and I think now it looks cute, but like the way she had done it when she first had cut it it was like really curled in. So in the moment, I do think it did look a little Farquaady, but it looks better now because I just let it fall naturally where it goes when it's dry. But again, long-winded of hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well this week. I had another one initially planned, but I decided to move it to a later date because, again, as I mentioned previously, I'm going to be going on vacation here within the next couple of weeks. I'm going on this really fun Alaskan cruise with my husband and my parents. And we've been planning it for almost a year at this point. It's like a 2-week cruise. So we'll be doing like a week on the actual cruise ship. And then there's like a week in port or on land in port. I don't know 2 weeks basically. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to bring obviously I film on my phone. So it's like, obviously I'm going to have my phone with me, but I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. And so I've been trying really hard to plan things out in advance. So some of the stuff that you'll see, particularly towards the end of May, will have already been pre-filmed and scheduled and all that kind of stuff. So that way I'm still posting something that you guys can hopefully watch and enjoy, but it will have been filmed in advance. So with that said, some updates besides my cute little hair. Some updates. Oh my God. So I'm having a hard time with Project TF at the moment. And not because I don't still enjoy it. I enjoy it still quite a bit. And I have been having fun with it. But the problem I'm running into with it is that so for Tosca, when I wrote it, it was kind of pantsed for the most part. And I was so stressed out when I wrote it. And same with the pen name project, I tried to pants my way through it. And it was super, super stressful because I wasn't sure where I was going to go with certain things. And I kept having to add things and take things out. And it was just kind of like a whole ordeal. So with this one, I was like, okay, I'm going to at least have some sort of general outline of what I want. So that's what I did. I made like a little general outline. So it wasn't super detailed, it wasn't super chaotic, but it was something to kind of help guide me. And with that said, I had this whole thing planned to a certain degree, right? And then as I'm actually writing it, I'm kind of getting to this point where I'm like, I don't really like where that initial outline was going for some parts of it. So I had to rework it a little bit. And I'm kind of in that like midpoint, like around the midpoint slump. And it's really frustrating because I want to finish it. And I feel like I'm just like dragging to get to the end point, which I always say and I will always continue to say because I experience that same phenomenon with pen name project when I went through it. You got to finish it. You just got to get through the first draft. The first draft is just to get it on paper. Everybody and their mother always says the same thing. Just the first draft isn't necessarily going to be perfect. It's almost never going to be perfect. So you just got to keep going, push through, and then the book really comes alive when you start going through the editing process and you do the read throughs and you kind of fix all the issues that you had with that initial thing. So I know all of that. I, again, have experienced it, will continue to experience it again and again as I continue on my authoring journey. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it is very frustrating because, again, I went through the same thing with Pen Name Project. Of I got through the like midway point, was really, really going, like had like the steam going. I was going up the hill. I was going up the hill, and now I'm like near the top of the. I'm like near the top of the hill, but like I'm not quite there yet. So I'm like really, really struggling to get through the over that hump. And then once I get through the hump, then I'll be able to do the full push through and like get to the end and finish it. But right now I am really struggling with the midway point because, as again I said, I just keep repeating myself because that's just how I talk normally. I had only given a general outline, so I have a general idea where I'm going. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that I changed and I want to make sure that the plot is good. Like I don't want it to just be kind of like this meandering, like, oh, a scene happens and this happens and this like I want it to make sense. And where it's heading now with that general outline doesn't make a ton of sense, or at least in the sense that like, so with Pen Name Project, it's not a huge spoiler, but there's like a particular person that comes in who's not a very good person. And there's really, he was kind of like an interesting character. I mean, you don't see him very much in the book, but like, he's kind of looming off in the sides, so to speak, and he does show up. But he was an interesting character because he's the quote unquote not so great guy. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil too much with it. But with him, I didn't really need to have like, a full fleshed out character, if that makes sense. But with that said, he's not like a hugely fully fleshed character. He's, again, not a great person, so you don't really have too much depth to him. He serves a purpose, but he's not obviously the same level of fleshed out as the other characters are. With this one, I have a character who's almost kind of like that, but because he's more involved and he's more present, it's becoming a little bit more apparent that like I need to flesh him out a little bit more and make him a little bit less one-dimensional. So that's a major problem that I've had so far, is that when I wrote the outline and I first was planning all of this out, he was very much a one-dimensional. He serves a very specific purpose to the plot, and that's kind of it with him. But he's becoming a more integral part of the plot, and I don't think I like, and again, I'll fix a lot of this in post, obviously, but like I think what I'm coming across is I don't like how one-dimensional he's becoming. I think I want to make him more, fleshed out. I think I want to give him more redeemable qualities so that he's not just one thing. And right now that's what he is he's more of one thing than anything else. And I want to make him more redeemable, make him more of a person instead of like a caricature of a person, which I feel like he currently is, and I don't like that. And again, not to say that I have any big grand things that I have planned for him at the moment. That's a note that I'm putting off to the side for me, of something I know in the future I'm going to want to address more concisely, that he is not just serving a purpose to the plot. He is a person interacting with the other characters, and I want him to have more of a reason for why he's doing what he's doing instead of just kind of like, aha, I'm here and I'm doing this thing. So I want him to have more of a purpose. And that's been, again, frustrating because it's like, I don't really know. Again, I'm still learning my writing process with a lot of this, and I haven't really figured out 100% how to make the thing happen, which I had really great feedback from, my beta readers and my, editor and all that kind of stuff of how my characters flesh out once I've kind of really dug my claws in and like flesh them out more, and that they are feel more like people, like real people, as opposed to just like book person on page. And that obviously took time to get there. And I don't know necessarily if it was in the first draft. I know it wasn't in the first draft for pen name project because I know I added a lot more detail as I went through to make sure that all these characters had more of a reason why they are the way they are, just more detail to them. So I know that that is a process I'm going to have to go through, but it's adding to this hump right now where I feel a little frustrated and tired. And every time I have like a writing day where I can sit down and work on this book, I end up staring at a wall most of the time, just trying to figure out exactly what I need to do in order to make the plot progress more smoothly. So right now, what I think I'm going to try to start focusing on is just having more of a routine for writing, because again, I have days set out of when I work on particular authoring tasks. So like, for example, today is a social media day. So I am working on social media. I am working on filming things. I'm working on, outline, like just all of that is on this day. And I have designated days for writing. I have designated days for editing, but that's not necessarily how creativity falls all the time. So sometimes I'll have like a social media day, but I'm feeling a really big burst of creativity. So I need to kind of gear myself more towards writing and switching my schedule around a little bit to accommodate that. And for productivity reasons, it's been helpful. I am very type A when it comes to working and doing any of this kind of stuff, of having designated days and having kind of like a schedule for me to follow. Because again, like I've mentioned before, I also work full time. I have a full 9 to 5 job that I have to do, which again, it's a weekend right now. So I'm not necessarily worried about, clocking in or anything right now. But during the week, I work full time, and it can be kind of challenging to kind of navigate around working full time and, you know, doing my author stuff. And then on top of that, I also am a managing partner at a new company that right now we're in the, building stages, so to speak. So there's not a ton of work coming in from that just yet. But once that does start coming in, I'm going to be even busier because I'm going to have stuff for that that's coming in. So I have a lot going on. Shocking. I went on a whole tangent. I'm sorry. Going back to Project TF, it's been kind of difficult balancing those creative bursts with when I have the time and the ability to write. And that's kind of where I'm at with that one of I just need to figure out how to better incorporate the writing time I have throughout my week, because I think what I'm finding is not writing every single day is starting to kind of mess with my head a little bit, and having that schedule so set in stone for myself, which I do like, don't get me wrong. That's just how my personality goes, and that's just how things are with my schedule. But I'm finding that not having at least a little bit of writing time every day is starting to kind of mess with my head a little bit, and I'm questioning everything, and I'm just staring at walls more more often than not. So I think with Project TF, that's probably what I'm going to have to do, is start incorporating writing every day, at least a little bit, so that way I can get through this initial hump and then move forward, because all of that and hello. So all of that to say, on top of the fact that it's frustrating that I'm having to deal with this creative slump, so to speak, in the middle of the actual book, it's messed with my deadlines, because initially when I started like really setting in stone, like, okay, I want to have these deadlines, I want to have these like this more streamlined process to publish. I had set the date for April 17th to have the first draft done. Clearly that didn't happen, because I'm like just past the halfway point and I'm still working on it. It's definitely past April 17th by this point. So that's been another frustrating aspect, that I had been really, really trying to stick to this deadline, and it doesn't work out all the time. So I'm trying to figure out and learn from this process of exactly how long it takes me to work on a project from start to finish. This one was a little bit odd because I started it at the very beginning of this year before I really started concretely putting a schedule in place to help me keep track of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and all that kind of stuff. I started work ironically, I started working with a career counselor who I basically went in and was like, "I don't know what I'm doing." And she's like, "Okay, well, what do you want to be doing?" And I told her everything that I want to be doing. She's like, "Okay, well, then just make a schedule, so that way you can plan out when you can work on things, and you're just going to have to learn how to go through the process." So that's kind of an odd point that I started entering this phase into my life of having this schedule come in while I'm already working on this project. So I've been more actively, pushing forward with with this project while I'm, implementing this schedule. So it's a little odd to try to figure out, okay, well, how long does it take me to finish the first draft of something, so that way I can move forward. And that deadline was like, okay, this is when I would idealistically like to have the first draft of Project TF done, and to kind of sail right past and continue to sail past it for probably a little while is a little frustrating, but it's also, I'm trying to have some grace with myself of, this is a learning process and I'm going to have a steep learning curve for the probably one or two, at least one or two projects, to figure out exactly how long it's going to take me to actually write this, because my track record so far has been, Tosca took me 8 years on and off because I was working full time, had no schedule, wasn't even in the writing field at the time. So 8 years on and off. The pen name project, I took about, that one I narrowed down a little bit, but it's taken me probably about a year to 2 years to really get through it. And right now it's in the process of waiting to talk to my cover designer, and hopefully we'll be getting that going here soon. But it took me about a year just for the first draft. I'd say it took me about a year to get that done. So I'm slowly speeding up, but with my personality, I kind of want things to be, let's go, let's go. I'm ready. I'm here. I've got my schedule. I've got my, my plans and my goals and all that kind of stuff. So I'm ready to move down the train. I'm ready to steam right ahead. But that's just not realistic. That's not how things are going to work with this. So I have to learn to be patient with myself on top of all of this, all of being patient with my writing process, and being patient with just my schedule and all these other little factors, because it's a lot of fun being an indie author, but it's also really hard and really exhausting at the same time, because I'm having to figure all this out on my own. I have some wonderful, wonderful resources. I have my author Discord that I'm a part of, and they are absolutely chef's kiss. They're always there when I need opinions and advice and anything like that, and vice versa and all that, which I might do a video someday on why writer discords are so great for authors and writers out there, but I don't know yet. I haven't figured out the logistics of that just yet. But in the meantime, I'm so bad. I am so bad at this. I am so, so bad at this filming thing. Other things that I'm trying to figure out currently, on top of everything I've already mentioned, is the whole process of YouTube and filming and editing and doing all of this on top of it. I'm learning a lot, and I am finding this has been really fun for me, like another project for me. Would you like to say good morning? He just needs attention. So, on top of everything else that I'm learning, I am figuring out this whole social media thing and filming and all that, and I really enjoy it. It's been really fun for me to learn a new skill on top of everything else that I'm trying to do, but it's a lot because, again, I'm also writing a book, and I'm editing a book, and I'm working on other areas of working on books, and I'm also working full time, and it's a lot. So I'm trying to balance all of this at the same time, of content creation and all of that. So I appreciate when you guys are sticking around for my chaos when it comes to filming and talking on camera, because I'm still learning how to do that as well. Because I'm gonna get a little personal right now. My self-esteem isn't the best. It never has. I have always struggled with I probably mentioned before, my weight, self-esteem, all of that. So it has been a struggle to really sit in front of a camera and film myself because I don't like to look at the camera. I don't like to look like I look occasionally over here. Like I'm doing it right now. Can you tell? I look occasionally over there just to make sure I'm not out of frame or whatever. But I don't really like looking at what I'm seeing. And that's been a struggle that I have been trying to navigate, but it's oh, rude. It's been a struggle to really figure out how I fit into this whole thing because I've discovered I really enjoy filming and I really enjoy editing these videos, and it's been really fun interacting with the community, and thank you if you've, commented or anything like that. I really enjoy talking to people and interacting with you guys, so it's been a really great experience in that way. And I think what I'm trying to learn and take away from some of this is improving my self esteem. So I think talking to people and trying to learn how to be more of a public speaker, so to speak, is going to be beneficial for me. So I'm hoping that going forward, hopefully my goal is that I become a little bit more eloquent when I'm talking and interacting with the camera. So that way I don't repeat myself constantly or talk over myself or, you know, just any other chaos that I do when I'm speaking. Because my coping mechanism my whole life has been writing. Excuse me. Don't be rude. Leave your sister alone. My coping mechanism most of my life has been writing. Like whenever I was upset growing up, whenever I was having a fight with my parents or whatnot, I would write. I would write them a letter. I would pour because I would get so emotional and I get this like lump in my throat, and I've lost count of the number of therapists I've been trying to go through to figure out how to deal with that. But I get like this lump in my throat and it just clogs up I can't talk when I get that emotional. And it's so frustrating because it's like I don't want to cry, but I end up crying a lot of times because it's so frustrating feeling like you can't use your own voice to talk about how you're feeling or what you're thinking or what your opinion is. I'm trying to have a serious conversation and these two are just acting a fool. It's really, really frustrating to try to figure out how to navigate around that. So writing became this way of, I don't want to say projecting. Obviously, it's not projecting. It became this outlet to help me voice my opinion and what I'm thinking. And it's morphed into this beautiful, obviously, creative outlet that I absolutely love and would never change for the world. But it's always been my avenue for speaking for myself, and I'm learning the older I get. I mean, I'm 33 right now. The older that I get, the harder it's been to interact with other people sometimes because, again, I have a really hard time speaking. So I'm trying to learn how to do that through this medium. So I'm glad you guys are here on the journey, and I hope you will continue to be here on the journey. That's kind of where my headspace is with a lot of this, that I am still trying to figure a lot of this out and don't always know what to say or how to say it. And I'm trying to be gracious with myself and figuring out how to edit around some of this and figure out what sounds the best when it's going to be put on a public platform like YouTube. But I think if I'm taking anything away is that I do want to continue it because it has helped me in small ways so far. I'm hoping the more that I do this and the more I get used to filming and being on camera and speaking to an audience, that this becomes a little bit easier. Because right now I feel so weird sitting in front of a camera and just talking because I'm not used to that. But I'm also ironically finding that I like it because I have something to look at. I have something to focus on because when I'm in person, I have a hard time looking people directly in the eyes when I'm speaking because I feel really awkward and I feel really like uncomfortable because I feel like I'm just all in my head. So it's really helpful to like have something to look at in this regard and just talk. If you have stuck around, I am very grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that we're on this journey together and that we will continue to be on this journey together because I'm finding that on top of being able to talk about books and talking about writing and all these things that I really, really enjoy, and I'm hoping to continue to do that, but it's also nice to be able to just be. It's nice to just exist in a space where I feel like I can just be myself and I can just talk when I can, how I can. And yes, I might have to edit around myself because I do repeat myself pretty frequently because I'm nervous and I don't always know what to say and how to say it in the moment, which sometimes you'll see me just looking off camera, just kind of like up here and then like looking back because I'm trying to keep my brain and my mouth at the same pace because that is a struggle that I have of like my mouth just goes 90 miles an hour and my brain is still trying to catch up because I haven't 100% solidified exactly what I'm going to say when I'm going to say it. But something I'm working on camera here. But I'm grateful that you guys are here, and I hope you will continue to be here with me as we're going through this journey of me becoming a more independent author, an indie author, and just talking about life and writing and all that kind of stuff. So that's it for today's video. If you stuck around, thank you. I appreciate all of you. And if you haven't, if obviously you're not going to see this if you haven't stuck around, but I hope that you enjoyed, took something away from this, I guess. And I will have more interesting stuff in the next coming videos, but for today's video, I just want to have like a nice little sit down chat and just be honest with you guys because this has been a really interesting experience for me and I have enjoyed it and I hope to continue to enjoy it. So I'm going to wrap up now so I don't continue to repeat myself, but thank you and I will see you guys in the next video.